United are considering selling naming rights to Old Trafford. There's been talk about how big that could be for the club. How big could it be? How substantial could it be financially for them? What kind of figures could we be talking about that it could be worth?
Well, in theory, it could be worth 50 million quid a year or more, but in reality, there are loads of people who are trying to sell naming rights. So Spurs have been trying to sell naming rights for the new stadium for maybe 4 years, could be even longer. And that's a central London brand new stadium with lots of alternative use, very high profile stadium, and this would be a first time sponsor. So you would have thought that it would have been very attractive, but they've not been able to get the amount that they want. And I think they're probably looking for about 50 million quid a year over maybe 10 years, so you sort of £500 million deal. Just not that many people that are in the market for a £500 million naming rights deal. West Ham have also looked to have a naming rights deal, slightly less attractive as a proposition compared to Spurs, but still, you would have thought a London stadium would have had some interest. And again, it's been difficult for them to find somebody. Everton are going to be in the market for a stadium rights deal as well. So there's lots of competition. And remember, United have tried in the past. I mean, they will have had a whole host of agencies saying, well, why don't we try this? Why don't we open up a conversation with this client of ours? Here is an actual offer. I'm sure it's all been done. I mean, the idea that they've never had that conversation, I think, is just not true. So I think easier said than done is the summary on United selling Old Trafford naming rights, especially because Old Trafford is Old Trafford. It's not a new stadium. It will always be Old Trafford. And so to try and change people's perception of the stadium is much harder than when you've got a brand new stadium where you're putting the first name on them, which we know from the Emirates and from the Etihad has been a much more successful naming proposition, and the Allianz in Germany for Bayern Munich, and the same in Ireland. These are just easier naming rights deals to do. So I think it's going to be very difficult for them to get the sorts of numbers that would make it a no-brainer.
And then talks have been held with major financial institutions about ways to fund the new stadium project. Would Ineos or the club maybe be taking on that debt? Who do you think would take on the debt?
Well, the debt will definitely be on an entity of Manchester United. It won't be on Ineos. Ineos are only a 25 to 28% shareholder. By the end of the year, I think it'll be 28%. But there's no way Ineos are going to take on the debt of Manchester United for the benefit of the other 72 or 75% shareholders. So there may be some structure where Ineos guarantee or provide some kind of extra security for the loan. But ultimately, they're not going to. The essence of Ineos taking on the debt would be to effectively be subsidising the Glazers and the public shareholders. So I don't think they're going to do that. But it is an issue for United. They've already got a huge amount of debt anyway. So loading on another, let's say another £1 billion of debt, albeit on the stadium as an asset, it's not ideal. Certainly optically, it's not going to look good. So there's various ways. I mean, they can either raise new equity by issuing new shares to the existing shareholders or new shareholders, or they can raise debt. But there's going to be quite a lot. There's quite a lot of cost there. So, I think the idea that Ineos would take it doesn't seem very likely to me.
Then there's been talk about price hike for tickets. They're also under consideration. Could that be a sign of things to come, maybe for fans moving forward? The match-going fans, their prices going up to, as we talked about the other week, owners are maybe looking, and American owners are looking to raise prices. Could that be a thing for Man United fans moving forward, that they are going to have to pay more money?
I think it's an issue for all fans, to be honest. I think, the days of, we're very lucky in England. We sort of compare ourselves to Germany and say it's really expensive. But actually, if you compare it in a global sense, if you look at the prices that are going on in the Euros, you look at the prices for the Champions League final, you look at even the prices for the FA Cup final in England, the prices are extraordinary. So I think everybody should expect that the owners of these clubs are going to look for more money from the fans. And there's going to be a bit of a battle, I think, between match-going fans and those that sit at home and watch it on TV and don't really care about that. Watch it from all around the world. They look at it. If you've got a big American fan base, they don't really understand what we're complaining about. And the reality is also, we do have a £30 away cap, and if you can get those away tickets, they are very good value. So I think it's an issue all clubs are going to have to deal with, and United fans can expect it. It is going to come.
With the cap on away tickets, do you think that's never something that would come in for home tickets, that kind of thing?
Well, we'll see. I guess it would be quite a popular Labour Party. If the Labour Party does win the election, which we would expect it to do, I think it would be quite a popular policy to have at least a proportion of tickets in any club to be capped at a certain level. But clearly, the clubs are going to fight very hard against that because they're obsessed with building revenue. Ultimately, in circumstances where none of them are profitable. And on the cost side, they are also being restricted from doing exactly what they want to do in terms of player costs. So I think there's a good chance that a new government says we need to regulate prices. But I think it's going to be a real battle again. So I don't think it's going to go through easily. I think the clubs are going to really resist that.